Hi, this is Randy White again. Hey, well done. You finished. So, here are a couple of closing thoughts for you. Hopefully, you've begun to appreciate even more just how special Fresno is. God has been at work here, uniting people and institutions in seeking the shalom, the well being, the wholeness, the flourishing of our city. A growing number of God's people are linking themselves together around the common good of our city. They're innovating creative solutions to our greatest challenges. New ministries have sprung up, new networks, new leaders. And my guess is, after meeting some of them in these recordings, you're a little more hopeful about our collective future. And maybe you're even wanting to link your life to God's transformational work here. If so, let me encourage you. You don't have to have it all figured out first. Any step you take will lead to more steps and more understanding. Welcome to the movement. Secondly, you'll notice it's not a perfect process. We try stuff, some of it works, we try to learn from our mistakes. This is the creative process. It's all too easy to criticize. We aren't doing enough, we aren't doing it right. But here's the thing that's helped me. The Bible tells us that love covers a multitude of sins, and I might add a multitude of mistakes. Loving our city isn't like loving chocolate or something. It's hard sometimes. It's really more like loving a person. It's complicated. Navigating through the realities of class or of race or economic or political forces, getting people of faith to work together, doing it without cynicism, these can seem really daunting. But don't let that stop you. That's why making a prior decision to love your city, no matter what, becomes important. And by love, we mean action. To quote that old DC Talk song, love is a verb. But what kind of action? What on-ramp do we take to God's transformational work in our city? What aspect of shalom do we work on? I heard a journalist one time ask Mother Teresa why she was merely responding to the symptoms of poverty instead of dealing with its real source, which was structural inequalities between the rich and poor. It was a legitimate question, given that currently our world, the richest 1% of humanity receive as much income as the poorest 60%. But Mother Teresa replied, "That's a good idea. Why don't you go do it?" See, she already had her hands full tending to the sick and the sorrowing and the dying. But she was acknowledging that the systemic work needed to be done and that there were people equipped to do it. The story helps me remember two things. First, direct acts of compassion are forever necessary, and some of us are called to that when the charitable response is appropriate. That is what Mother Teresa's life was about, what she knew she was called to, and maybe that's your strong suit. But it's also a reminder that some of us are called to take Mother Teresa's challenge to go do it seriously, to work for greater equity in the transformation of the systems. So what is it for you? Perhaps something you saw from today will lead you to find your place in one or both of those possible responses. The point is to find your place, to take action, to connect yourself, your assets and privileges to the process in some way. Truth is, it will likely evolve over time as your understanding of yourself and of our context grows. But ask yourself, what might I need to do now to be more intentional about this? I'm finding after all these years that there's a reciprocal relationship between action and understanding. God has designed us in such a way that we don't fully know something until we've acted upon it. And when we take action, especially in the form of service, it cements our understanding, sealing the truth in our souls, and leading us to live out God's love. Jesus said, "He who loves me will keep my commandments, and I will love him and disclose myself to him." When we take steps of action to do God's will, God shows more of himself to us. Pretty exciting. Now that's a journey we can take together in this amazing city called Fresno. Thanks for coming along today. Let's get to work.